Good afternoon. When the MC asked how many people have heard about the gentleman standing before you, majority of you said you had not, right? That brought back a scenario of how HIV came. In the beginning, no one knew about HIV, but today we are here because of it, right? By the time I leave this place, you'll come to know me. So I'm like HIV. I bring you warm greetings from the Pearl of Africa. That's Uganda. But coming here, I went through Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, so I bring you greetings from Nairobi, Kenya. At the airport, I met a friend from Dar es Salaam, so I bring you greetings from Tanzania. But while on the plane, I sat with a guy from Rwanda. I bring you greetings from Kigali. But of course, the plane was full of black people. I love seeing black whenever I move. I bring you greetings from the continent of Africa. In Africa, our creed is, I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. We've never been selfish. We've always been collective. We've always been a community. So it's a pleasure to be here in Toronto. They told me yesterday, it's Toronto. Toronto, right? Not Toronto. Okay, it's a pleasure to be here in Toronto. Okay, let's give a round of applause to Mama Pitmoff for making this possible. Please, if it doesn't hurt, you can stand up. Give her a round of applause for the good work she's doing. Let's give a round of applause to her team that she's working with. Let's give a round of applause to the presenter I found here, who stood up against it. And to the beautiful lady that has been performing here. And to all of us for sparing some time to be here amidst your busy schedules. Africans, whenever they gather, it's always, if not a party, it's a party. If not a party, it's a. But today, my brothers and sisters are here for a noble cause. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. I've been told it is hard to find time when you're here. I recognize a few faces that I won't mention, but I know some of the Africans I traveled with all the way from Uganda. The two Hajis here, you're welcome. It's a pleasure seeing you again. They slept in Sheraton and they left me somewhere, but here we are. 40 years ago, what started in one community, which is a village, spread all over the world. In Uganda, it started deep somewhere in Masaka and spread to all parts of the country. In the beginning, people thought it was the devil. You know, us black people, we are spiritual people. It was the devil. And few people believed that it had come until the late Philip Bongole Mutaya came out openly to declare himself positive. So 40 years today, we are still fighting something that has stayed with us for all these years. Humans are known to be so powerful, especially in the face of challenges. But HIV has lingered around with us, and we are still fighting. We don't know when it will end. 79 people tested positive just in 2020. 2020. I was told to pronounce it like that. But you forgive me, I'm Ugandan, so many words I'll pronounce them in my language. 680,000 people have died due to the illnesses caused by HIV. No one can stand up before us and claim not to know the existence of the scourge of HIV. If you've not lost a brother, you've lost a sister. If you've not lost either, you've lost a friend or a parent. I lost a father, I lost a brother, I lost a sister, and I've lost many friends that I cannot count due to HIV. Unfortunately, it is not the worst in Africa, because malaria is killing people more than HIV. But HIV still lives with us. So an epidemic that started 40 years ago, it has continued to claim the lives of those that we love. And no one is to blame, because you don't wake up knowing that the person you're interacting with is positive. As we are standing before you, I don't know my status. I last tested 6 months back. I may be positive because I'm married, I have a wife and children, but I don't know. Anything is possible in life. So, someone who is positive, who declares to be positive, it is not their problem, because no one wakes up intending to acquire it. The only beauty that we have, the mosquito that transmits HIV, moves with us, lives with us. The mosquito that transmits HIV amongst us lives with us. These are our body parts, right? These are our body parts. Meaning we have the power to control whatever is on our bodies. The question is, why are we not solving the problem? All researchers and all initiatives came out with 3 ways of preventing or fighting the scourge. The first was prevention. A lot of money and a lot of resources have been invested in prevention. That is mass sensitization and awareness. 2, testing. And 3, treatment. There is prevention, there is testing, there is treatment. But still, the number of people getting infected every month in my country is increasing at an increasing rate, especially amongst the married. I don't know how it is here, but in my country, where I come from, especially the married, HIV is increasing at an increasing rate. Why is it that the problem is not being solved amidst prevention initiatives, testing, and treatment? Because the word HIV starts with H. Human immunovirus, right? So, the problem is not HIV, the problem is the letter H, the human. We, the humans, we are the problem. Otherwise, HIV can be ended. There is PrEP, there is PEP. PrEP, before you get into the battle. PEP, when you doubt, he who has served you a good meal. PrEP and PEP. All information is on our mobile phones. All initiatives are in place. There is a lady here representing an organization working on that. But again, the problem is still there. So if prevention, testing, and treatment are there, but the problem is not going away. What is the problem? The problem is stigma. And stigma relates with humans, not the virus. The problem is we, the people. Until the day we change what we believe and how we perceive life around us, it is going to be tough to end this scourge. Because of stigma, so many people have lost lives. Because of stigma, someone is still seated among the stars. They fear to express their status. Because of stigma, people have lost jobs. Because of stigma, relationships have been broken. Because of stigma, people continue to die, not because of HIV. That is why I want to commend the person who came up with the theme of the conference, breaking the silence. Breaking the silence, the stigma in the African community. I've interacted with some brothers and sisters who are white and they're infected. They come out openly, they express their ideas, and they continue to live. So the problem is not HIV, the problem is you and I. How do you react? How do you behave if your closest friend told you they tested positive? Will they sit with you again? Will you relate with them? Will you share a plate of food together? In Africa, so many people, if someone comes out and they say, I tested positive, they abandon them. Especially in the black community. They abandon them. It's like someone has made a crime. But HIV, you don't get it even kissing. You can't easily get it, right? You can't. We know how one acquires it, but we continue to segregate ourselves. So because of stigma, we've lost a lot of people, and we continue to lose a lot of people that would make a lot of meaningful changes in our country. So we all believe that today, if you don't have HIV, you have a friend, you have a relative, you have a partner who is positive. So if this virus doesn't kill and only causes a deficiency in the body, then the problem is not the virus. We must find ways of fighting the deficiency in the body. Just like I said, there is art and retroviral drugs. If you're sick, if you test positive, it is not a crime. These days they changed the mechanism. You take 1 tablet per day. 1 tablet per day. And the more consistency you have with the medicine, over time, when they test you, when the viral load is low, you cannot transmit that virus to another person. These are facts. So, the more you're consistent with the medicine, they can't even detect it in your blood. They can't detect it in your blood. Meaning, if they can't detect it, you can't transmit it. If they can't detect it, you can't transmit it. That means if someone is open enough to take to follow the prescriptions, they will save so many lives. But here we are, someone tested last year, but they know they've been enjoying life. Maybe you can be the problem. When we say ending HIV by 2040, we can't do it until we accept to be responsible humans. But in one of my comments, This is what I say on the poster. HIV has no bearing on human potential, life, progress, and development, or professional career. You can still be great while living a positive life. For greatness in you can only be amplified or stalled by the decisions and the choices you make in life. Being tested positive is a medical statement, but living a positive life is a mental choice. Thank you. Being tested positive is a medical statement, but living a positive life is your choice. Which is why I'm not going to focus a lot on what so many people are fighting, that is the virus. My question that I want to pose before you is, how can we live a positive life amidst being tested positive? How can we live a positive life? This comes back to we, my fellow black people, living in the diaspora. How can we build strong communities that can lift each other, that can stand with each other, that can support each other? Somewhere in this country called Canada, there is a community of Indians. They were not born here, they came here. You can go to certain towns and you realize that the entire environment is for Indians. Somewhere in this country there is a community of the Chinese. And some people go ahead to name these communities Chinatown. Somewhere in this country there is a community of Arabs. People coming from the Arab world and creating an empire, building an empire in Canada. The question is, are we as Africans, especially black Africans, are we able to build strong communities? Remember, our creed is, I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. Are we still that? Are we still standing for each other as it used to be? Or the spirit of selfishness came in? It is okay to succeed as an individual, but it is more powerful to succeed as a community. That is why I want to, once again, to give a round of applause to Mama Pitimoff for what she's doing. Over time, I don't know how many people that have found it easy to live here because of her. I don't know how many people. But somewhere, somehow, you're here because of her works. But Solomon is just one individual. How about if all of us here had the same spirit and we came together to stand together and merge our efforts and initiatives to build a strong community? How many people would benefit from that? So I pose to you a question. What are you doing as an individual? Recently, we saw videos of people having no shelters where to stay. It changed the entire system, even at Entebbe International Airport. Unfortunately, in Nairobi, they won't ask for it. In Amsterdam, they won't ask for it. Here, they won't ask for it. In Entebbe, you have to show money, that you have money on you. Enough money. A fellow black man, a woman, asking a fellow black man, a woman to show money. In Amsterdam, they don't ask for money because people are in a developed world. Money is in the bank. But what forced that? They saw videos of Ugandans and Africans languishing on the streets of Canada, looking for places where they can put where they can lay their heads. What are we doing? This is a strong community. I'm seeing strong people that have lived here for quite some time, are working, they're very busy. What are we doing for ourselves? Before we even intervene or call other people, other authorities to come into our issues, what are we doing as the black community in Toronto? What are we doing? Just like HIV, It has no bearing on human potential. All of us were born great, but greatness is a product of influence. You can't be great if you command influence in a society where you are. Influence is a product of significance. You can't command influence until you're important in that society. Importance or significance is a product of value. You can't be important in society unless you're personal value. But value comes from refinement. Refinement, a series of training to perfect the value that is in you. Refinement sits in uniqueness. Uniqueness comes from a gift, and a gift is given by God. Who doesn't have a gift here? Where is our power? Each of us seated here has the power to influence the way things are done here. If we could come together, merge this effort, and bless each other. How many people have you supported in this community? How often do you participate in initiatives that are geared to changing lives? How many times do you, as Ugandans or Africans or Kenyans or Tanzanians or East Africans or West Africans, how many times do you sit together to challenge your own way of life, to forge ways forward? When shall black people build strong communities like Indians, Chinese? They don't come from heaven, they come from Asia. We too can do the same thing, but only we're lacking one thing: the will. The will of each of us here to contribute what they can to make this a reality. I did not come here to tell you what to do, but I came here to remind you of the great responsibility that you have. In Uganda, for instance, where I come from, to come up and be where I am, you have to fight a lot. Why? We live in a world that takes long to appreciate gift and talent. We live in a world that takes long to reward effort and initiative. You live in a country that appreciates gifts, that appreciates initiative and talent. How are you tapping into that? I look at so many millions left behind who are struggling every day, looking for opportunities to come here. They're not even guided. I see so many young people coming here, they are not guided. Who is there to guide them? They end up making lots of mistakes. So, it comes back to us, the onus comes back to us to stand up, come together as one people, support each other and build each other. This spirit of you living alone, surviving alone, succeeding alone, won't take you anywhere. It won't. But if the entire population of people seated here, if they came together to combine the effort, how much change would be created by these people? Because losing $100 US to you, all of you, it's not an issue, right? You can always get it. How about if all of you here contributed just $100? $100, even if they're Canadian dollars, contributed to an initiative that is for and by you, how much impact would you make in Canada? How many Ugandans are living in Toronto? How many Ugandans are living in Alberta, Saskatchewan? How many Ugandans are there? How many people of our descent are in this country? How are we tapping into the power of these people? To lead, it's not occupying a position, but leadership is a manifestation of self. To be followed, you don't need to be a chairman or a chairperson or a leader of something. You simply need to manifest who you are. I'm not here because I'm a lead of anything. I'm here because I'm a lead of my life. So the most important thing is understanding who you are and what defines you as a person. And when you manifest that, so many people are going to converge around you for that drop of hope from you. So I want to challenge you from today onwards. Stop thinking about yourselves only. Start thinking about people like her, who openly stood here and said she's positive. Encourage so many of your friends, because you live in a country that has almost everything that you need. The only people that are looking for here is support. The greatest challenge for people living in the diaspora is loneliness. People take long to have people they can talk to and share with. Fortunately, those that have people they can talk to, when they share their audios, they end up finding those same things in the community, the entire community. If someone comes up to them and says, I'm positive, the entire community will get to know that she or he is positive. We don't respect each other. So we need to find our power and focus on our power. Leave alone the things that separate us, focus on the things that bind us. This is why I want to share with you 4 questions to reflect on after here. The first question is, who are you? If you have a pen, the Chinese believe, when I hear, I forget, when I see, I remember, but when I do, I understand. When you use your hand to inscribe something on a paper, you're not writing on a paper, you're writing in your spirit. That will stay with you. So the first question is, who are you? Who are you determines what you do and how you behave. Who are you chooses for you the friends that you have. Who are you will determine the places that you sit or spend most of your time. Who are you defines what you do, even in the dark. I always tell people, religion is not what to show people. Religion is who you are when no one is seeing you. So who are you? What defines you? You as a person in this developed world, what defines you? Before you come into a community, ask yourself, who I am, what is my contribution to this community? I am because we are, and because we are, therefore I am. So what brings you here? What is your contribution to this initiative? Who are you as a person? Are you here to fight others? I've seen so many successful Ugandans in the diaspora being fought by their fellow Ugandans. I've seen so many black Africans fighting their fellow black Africans. Does that define who we are? When I went to Norway, we formed a chain of stores for Polish people from Poland. I entered one store. I wanted to buy something. After checking, I realized I didn't have enough money on me. So I promised these people that I was going to come back the following day. Coming back the following day, I found another lady. I asked her, where is the person I talked to yesterday? She told me she's in another store. I realized that the 5 stores in the chain were owned by the Polish people. This is what they did. When one came, succeeded, brought another. They succeeded together. Whoever was brought was tasked to bring another. I found out that it was a family of 11 people owning a chain of 5 stores. 5 people, but it was only one person who came to Norway. How many of our people are doing that? How many of our people are helping each other to rebuild themselves to stand up? How many of our people even think beyond their own initiative, their own interests? Is that what defines who we are? Is that us? The Africans I've read about so many centuries ago, they had a creed, I am, because we are. And because we are, therefore I am. Are we building? Are we building a community that can outlive so many challenges? So ask yourself, who are you? When you go back to your apartment tonight, when you're alone or when you're together as a group, ask yourself, who are you? The second question is, what do you want? What do you want? The greatest opportunity in such countries is not money. The greatest opportunity in such countries is education, not money. All Ugandans that went back to school in Norway, we found them well established. Whenever you have an opportunity, if you have built a strong community, Mama Pitmoff, there are so many young people you will take back to school by force by this community. You force them to go back to school and study. Because 10 years from now, they'll benefit the community. 50 years from now, I'll be in my 80s, I'll be useless in my country. I'll only be there to guide grandchildren, if at all they seek for my advice. Because you know it has come to Africa too, that people get old and age alone. How old will you be 50 years from today? I want you to ask yourself, how old will you be 50 years from today? How much time do you have? So what do you want? All things are good, but not all things are right for you. All things are good, but not all things are right for you. So what do you want as a person? As an individual, before you come into this huge community, what do you want? If you know who you are, you already know what you want. What are you here for? I've come to know that you're so busy sparing this time to be here. You're losing a lot of money because you're paid hourly. So why are you here? I'm sure there must be something bigger than that. So what do you want? That is the second question. Third question, what price must you pay to have what you want? For everything, there is a price to pay. In fact, the price we pay is equivalent to the magnitude of the dream we are pursuing. If you're looking for $1 billion US, the price you pay is equivalent to that. But if it is money, how much are you looking for? If it is money that you want, how much money do you want? And what are you going to use it for? Otherwise, the rest of life, we might end up chasing something to the time we can't even do anything for ourselves just because all the time we were running. The economies of this developed world were designed for work. You can't live here when you're not working. So for as long as you're here, you will work till old age. You will be working. You can't run away from that because you have to pay taxes. Otherwise, if you choose to go against that, you won't live, you won't have any impact. So define the price that you need to pay to have what you want. And the last question is, when do you want to have what you want? A goal is a dream with a deadline, of course. There was a time I was young. I'm now a man, looked up by so many people. 10 years from today, I'll add on more years, just like you. 10 years from today, 20, 30. You must know where the race ends. It is always good to know how to enter. But the moment you get a seat, it is always good to find out how you're going to move out. That's the most important thing. Otherwise, don't get into the diaspora trap. The diaspora trap. I have a brother of mine was working on a radio station in Kampala. Was doing well, some are doing well. He traveled to the US. He said, I'm just going to be there for 2 years. I told him, no, just don't lie to yourself. That economy is so sweet, it's $1 trillion economy. He worked for the first year, he told me, I'm doing better, I'm still up to my target. The second year ended, and he told me, there is something I need to finish. The third year came, he said, okay, now I'm working on the papers. The fourth year, the fifth year, the sixth year, the seventh year. And today I'll find him, a few days from today I'll find him in Dallas, in Una. He's there, the seventh year. I asked him again, Alexander, what do you want? He honestly told me, I'm confused. I don't know what I want. Because at first I thought I want the money, I got the money. Now I don't know what I'm fighting for, but I need more money. I told him if people with more money could ignore money, then US would not be looking for diamonds and gold from Africa. He who gets more is given the urge to get more. But there is a problem that we need to solve. One lazy analyst said that the wealth beneath the surface of Congo, the wealth beneath the surface of Congo, and the wealth on the surface of USA alone, on the surface, when you combine it, it cannot make 50% of the wealth that is beneath the surface of Congo. But what's in Congo? People are fighting, they're killing each other. But these people are seated on wealth. Probably their children are struggling to run away. This is a huge problem. And to you that have had an opportunity to get exposure to understand how things work, it is incumbent on you to solve this problem. Because for as long as it is a problem before your eyes, it implies that you are created to solve that problem. Are you assisting? Are you helping? So I want to leave you with 6 factors as we prepare ourselves for the times ahead. I simply came here to challenge you. I didn't come here to do much, but to challenge you. Some of us will be there waiting to guide those that are interested, especially in matters concerning our places there. Those that are interested. I call them the 6 P's that we need to think about, reflect every time that we have a moment to gather together. Think about these things and ask yourselves, how are you faring? Amidst or besides the 4 questions, with the first one, who are you? The first P is your purpose of existence. Because life is more than money. No one is looking for billions of money. I've never encountered or come across someone looking for billions of money. All people want to use the billions of money to create things that give them happiness. Meaning at the end of the day, it is not money. We are all looking for happiness. We just want to be happy. What determines your happiness, I don't know. Some are made happy by $1 billion. Others can be happy by 10,000. Others can be happy by 50,000. The first principle is, what is your purpose here? What's your value in this community? No, it's the same. What's the value? What's your value in this community? There's so many things going around. Can we build a strong community that when one of us stands up to speak, the entire authority of Toronto will listen? Can we do that? Are we struggling the same way our brothers and sisters from India do? Are we? What is that thing that is missing in us, yet we have almost everything? We have everything, but what's missing? You can't simply wake up every day, go to work, toil, focus on lots of things, when you don't know why you're doing all that you're doing. Life is bigger than anything that we can get in life. Life is bigger. So what is that bigger picture for you? I know 50 years from now, actually 100 years from today, all of us seated here will be gone. All of us seated here will be gone. I want you to reflect. 100 years from today, all of us seated here will be no more. The late Michael Jackson was a talk of a century. When did he die? Just a few years ago. How many people talk about him today? Just a few of you. How many of you talked about him the last 3 months? But he was once a talk of the world. Meaning all things that we are fighting for today will come to an end by our legacy. But our legacy must continue. What's your legacy in this great city of Toronto? What's your legacy? As we, the black community, what's our legacy in this city? What are we known for by the authorities? These are some of the things that we need to sit down and discuss and find ways of empowering our communities to have our voice counted. But we cannot make our voice count when we are still selfish. Everyone for themselves, party for us all. It is always good to have, because in our nature, we are people of rhythm in our nature. But there comes a time where someone has to sit down and do a reflection on their lives. We have so many minerals, we have a lot of wealth back home. But people running away from the wealth. And other people are being trained and prepared for that wealth. Take an example. We have oil, we have tin, we have uranium. But there's no course in my country that teaches mining. A child in Germany is learning mining. They don't have minerals. He's being prepared for what? For minerals back home. What are we thinking? Every day, Africans are running away from the continent. Man must face his fate or be destroyed by it. So for those of you that have had an opportunity to live in the developed world, to have exposure on some of these things, empower yourself. The greatest wealth you can acquire from this land is training and empowerment. For money you'll always get if you're empowered. Why wouldn't you sit in a position where you're paid 100,000 Canadian dollars just because of your knowledge? Why would someone wish to remain average when there is great potential? These are some of the things we need to sit down and reflect on. Every time we have an opportunity to gather as we are today, these are questions that we need to ask ourselves. These people knew that 200 years from today, they want to be there. So they built institutions that could nurture people with the same values that they want to lead. So are we going to run away and leave all that great wealth for other people to come and mine it? It is only the Nigerian government that fought to own almost 80% in their oil sector. In Burkina Faso, they've been taking uranium, and the government doesn't even have 1% of it. and someone will blame other people. You cannot blame people that understand who they are. Blame ourselves. We blame yourselves for not understanding who you are and accepting it. When children of the Arabs come to Canada, they will blend in. But when they go back, they will be Arabs. Indians have lived with us in Uganda for quite years. I've never seen a wedding of an Indian with a black man. It's not that they don't like us. No, they like us. But they know who they are. Do we respect ourselves? Do we appreciate who we are? Is our community stronger than the Indian community here? We must find those values that make us, that define us, that help us to build a strong community. In Uganda, Indians go to India, they bring in 40-feet containers of valuables that they've not paid. They've not even paid the taxes. The association pays for them. They sell the valuables. They take back the people's money. Our people, they take the money, but they never come back. We can't build a strong foundation on a sanded foundation. We can't. That is why we need to check ourselves. First, before we complain about anything, we need to check ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I'm talking about you and I. How are you behaving? How are you thinking? We can't live like people that have no purpose. So find your purpose. In your purpose, that is why your kingdom is. Somewhere I've read about the scripture saying, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and everything shall be added unto you. And people in Africa are looking for the kingdom outside their lives. The disciples asked Jesus, where is the kingdom? He told them, no, never be lied to. The kingdom is in you. Black people are looking for the kingdom outside their lives. The kingdom is in them. The kingdom in you is your power. That is your advantage. There are so many people here who can do what I do, but they can't do it the way I do it. The way I do it, that is my kingdom. What is your power? What is your power? What is your purpose here on earth? Are you going to be begged by your relatives, send me some money all the time? Like we tell ourselves back home that a job is a short-term solution to a long-term problem. It's a long-term problem. We can't solve it by getting a job. We used to say, do not teach people how to fish. It is no longer important. People know how to fish, but don't know how to build their own ponds. So we've shifted from teaching them how to fish. Now they must learn how to build their own ponds, so that even at midnight they can fish. Today people know how to fish, but they don't know where to go. Probably they don't own the ponds that have the fish. You that have had an opportunity to come in such ponds where there is huge fish, what are you contributing back to the nations that made you who you are? It is true you fought alone, you've succeeded. Some of you have struggled, have had to hustle. But that's not our business. Of course, you had to hustle. You cannot claim you now have struggled a lot. No, you had to struggle. Nothing is free. But when I struggle and I become something, I must be a voice of the voiceless. Are you? Are we? Are you? So, purpose. The second one is passion. When you know who you are, whatever you do, you must be passionate about it. I've not read about people that have made great changes. You know, there is a difference between being rich and being wealthy. In my country, we have a lot of rich people, but few are wealthy. Wealth can move from one generation to another. Have you realized that we have failed to move wealth from one generation to another? Have you realized that the wealth of this nation was built by people that lived 200 years ago? 100 years ago. The children of these generations formed the foundation of this wealth. In my country, there is someone called Aga Khan. When I found out it was the child of the fifth generation, there is Madivan, fourth generation, but they're still managing the business after all those years. When you look at us, it is very hard to see a business that has lived for 40 years. When men die, they die in the businesses. Black people are giving out things. Things are fighting for things, not the values that build the things. In my language, we say, ndi muntu, a person. Nino ubuntu, the South Africans call it ubuntu. Ubuntu, bunyambo kole ebintu. Our power is in the ntu. The ntu. So when our children are taking over our empires, they're taking over things. They don't inherit the ntu that built the things. Recently, we lost a great man, wealthy man in Kampala. He came from Masaka, he was nobody. He came on a vehicle carrying food. At home he left poverty. In Kampala he found poverty. He fought alone. He had not gone to school that much. He fought alone and built an empire. Gave birth to 10 children, exposed them. They started in the UK. They started in the UK. They started in the UK, US. But when he died, 10 heads that were produced by one illiterate head failed to take on an empire that was built by one head. 10 exposed land heads fought to share one man's empire. What is the problem? I leave that to you. We must wake up and learn something. The third principle is planning. Nothing is going to happen by accident in our lives, in our communities. We must plan for it. What is your plan for becoming a powerful community that can support each and every person in this community? Who has the plan? Everyone has their own plan. Everyone here has his or her own plan of succeeding. What's your plan of succeeding together? They say if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. The fourth P is people. In life, you need people to succeed, but in life, you need to lose some people in order to succeed. In life, you need people. No man is an island. The opportunity that I'm looking for will come through a human being. But let me tell you, the death of the opportunity that I'm looking for will be caused by a human being. So in life, I need as many people as I can, but I need to lose as many people as I can to create what I want to create. Do you have the right people here? Are you the right person seated in these positions, in these seats? Do you have the right mind and the sets that come with it? When you know the purpose, you have the passion for it, and you've come up with a plan for it, and you identify the right people. Fifth, persistence. You have to be persistently persistent and consistently consistent if it exists. It's not my language. You have to be persistent. You have to fight for whatever you want. Mama Pitmoff, if you have an idea of bringing people together, you must be persistent. Even if you call people and 4 people come, attend to that have come. It's not about quantity, it is about quality. These are quality people. But there are many outside there. They're not even busy. They don't have time for this. So you have to be consistent. You might not be appreciated today, but 20 years from today, so many people will appreciate the effort that you started. Maybe it will yield lots of fruits for other people. So you have to be consistent and persistent.